All right, to start off the show today, we are talking with Commissioner Roy Alaimo. Commissioner Alaimo, thank you again for joining us. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you guys for having me. This is a fun group. I always watch your show, so
cool.
It's a fun time and it's informative for people. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also where I forget to silence my phone and get my calls during the show. That's great.
I'll take responsibility for that too.
83?
I didn't say sound off, and I didn't say
Yeah,
share
you
show.
get 100%.
That's
100.
Two strikes.
Oh, is he supposed to warn you to silence?
yes,
Yeah,
he is.
Sound
okay,
off,
I
sound
got
off,
you.
and
Troy, you wear many hats.
sure.
Yeah, literally, many hats.
It's very difficult to be Troy on this show.
All right. Commissioner Alaimo, I'll start the show by saying, man, we talk about it all the time. We have the utmost respect for anybody who puts themselves on the line in campaigns and also that serves in public service. It is not an easy job to do. Campaigning is not something any of us would want to do. And this year has to be one of the most brutal years in St. Johns County campaigning period. You broke your jaw. You broke your jaw campaigning this year.
And thank you for saying that, because this has been an election cycle like I have never seen. I've been involved locally in politics, as you know, for many, many years and worked on a lot of different races and so forth. And I've just never seen it like this. The temperature is so high. The tension is high. I mean, everywhere I go, it's like, wow. I'm knocking on doors and people are like, I've got a stack of mailers. Can you please just stop?
Everybody's sick of the mailers, man. They are.
Man.
It is.
And
I
the
can make a
TV
quilt.
ads are brutal.
Yeah.
Somebody
TV ads
said
are
they're
brutal.
getting like 5 or 6 a day
Oh,
or something
easy.
like that.
Yeah, easy.
If you're a super voter, you're getting them.
And they're the big postcards, like a kite size. It's crazy.
Man. So I guess something to do with the mailers came out over the weekend, and we've tried to gather all sides of this story. I think that's something we try to do here is gather all sides of the story. So that's something I wanted to talk to you about. When did you first find out about these flyers that were claiming to be from the GOP? And we've got so many problems across the board with this story. But when did you first find out about these flyers, and what was your reaction?
Yeah, I found out about it. Somebody had messaged me about it, and then I went on social media, and of course, you go on social media, and it's like, it was like blowing up, essentially. But, I mean, it's just terrible what has happened. I mean, and I condemned it immediately. And I'm not active on social media, but I saw the need to even get out there and say, no, this is just wrong. And I will tell you, I've been involved in the Republican Party for many years. As you know, I was the chairman, and I do respect the organization, although I've had my differences with them. And in fact, I've spoken with them at the state level, and also the vice chair, who I know you've had on over the weekend. He did a video, and they put out some endorsements, and they didn't follow the rules, and it's just a mess everywhere. But I think Dan Hilbert made a comment that I had seen on something.
Yeah, the best comment
I had seen, and it's just put the voter guys away. Do your research.
Yeah.
Do the background check. Look and see what these people are about, and just go out and vote for who you believe is the best for the job.
Yeah.
Instead of
who's going to represent you, at the end of the day, and your values and what you want to see in St. Johns County, for sure. I think local elections, people don't always stress the importance of them, but this is what affects us every single day here at home. More than voting for senators sometimes. I mean, obviously they bring money back home, they help us, they do various different things for our area and our state, but the local elections affect us the absolute most here at home, obviously, and people need to be paying the utmost attention to those, I think, and going out and voting this week. Yeah, man. Yeah.
But is this normal? Like, do you see these kind of patterns? Like, I mean, how do you handle this mentally? I know you denounce it, but I'm sure there's still stuff going on. Like, I mean, it's major fraud. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, it's just like processing it. Every day is a new thing that has come out, and it's just like,
do you think that hurts your campaign?
You're just trying to process it. I think for me, it's like I'm working so much at it. I'm knocking on 100 to 150 doors a day.
God bless.
Making phone calls. And so it's almost like sometimes it's just hard to process. But it's terrible what's going on. The negative mailers, I have nothing to do with them, just so folks know. And I think a lot of times people see these things and they're like, oh, well, it must be his opponent. I have nothing to do with these PACs. I don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
You know, I have. There's no collaboration with these folks. I mean, they're just putting stuff out there, and it's like you said, Davey. I've been involved in this a long time, but I've never seen it to this level, especially even at the local level.
Right.
I mean, you know, you expect this stuff with Trump and, you know, the national stuff. But, I mean, local county commission, I mean, it's like, wow, my goodness.
Absolutely.
You know, we've turned this into a blood sport.
Well, it's a heated race. You know, a lot of people, obviously, there's a lot going on with St. Johns County. There's a lot of growth happening in St. Johns County, and a lot of people are concerned with what the direction of that growth is going to look like.
Right.
Obviously. So, yeah, very, very heated election. Now, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I'm curious to get the answer from you. Obviously, you're going to know this. We didn't know the answer. But it seems like yourself, Christian Whitehurst, and Henry Dean seem to be running like a collaborative campaign. What are you guys? Are you guys working with the same campaign manager? Are you guys running a joint campaign? How is that working?
We're running our individual campaigns, but you know, we do have the same campaign consultant, and you know, we have a lot of the same supporters, and so the signs you see are together. But this is, I think, it just kind of. From elections I've seen in the past too, it just kind of seems to go that way. I mean, even our opponents at times almost seem like they're joined together because people are like, these are the three that I want, and they put them on a poster together. And it's the same thing with us. So we are all running our own individual campaigns, but yeah, I mean, I understand why people get that picture because they go to a shopping plaza and there's Christian, Henry, Roy, you know,
right.
So I understand why they see that, but we are running our own individual campaigns.
And my question, I brought it up yesterday, so I mean, I'll follow up with the question. My question is, do you feel that was the right strategy, or would you do it a little different next go round? Because I mean, I know all three of you. All three of you are completely different people, and you know, you each have your own traits and stuff like that. So, in my opinion, I would like to see you guys individually, not as a group. And I think it could hurt you, and I think it hurts them too. I mean, because the other side's doing the same thing. You might not like one of them, so you might not vote for the other three or the other two.
That's a good point.
So, you know, would you do it differently if you run again? Because I felt like, you know, I know Roy, I know Kristen, and I know Henry, and all three of you are three different personalities. So would you do it the same way next go round?
Well, I'll tell you, Troy, you know, it's an interesting question. For me, I would say that, you know, like anything that you do, you put people in place to make decisions I have a campaign consultant, and she manages the campaign. So I'm not really micromanaging her. I mean, she's telling me what I need to be doing. And so, but I do see your point. You know, if you got three people and they look like they're on a ticket, whether what side you're on or not, I think it tends to, like, if somebody doesn't like, you know, me, or they don't like one, you know, Henry or something, then it affects all three. So I understand what you're saying there. But I do support Christian and I do support Henry. I've been very open about that. But yeah, I don't know that I would do anything differently because I've put my trust and faith in my consultant, and you know, I believe that she'll do the right thing and knows what needs to be done. You know?
Find this is very distracting to what your policy is, what you're trying to put out there? Do you find this is almost kind of catty? You know what I mean? Like, you really are trying to put out a great message. Is your message being muddied from a lot of this marketing stuff, essentially?
You know, I think that. You know, for me, for example, I've only been on the board a little over a year and a half. You know, I haven't been on there that long. I mean, you know, Henry's been on there, you know, quite a bit longer than me, and Christian's been on there, you know, pretty much a full term. But so when I go out there, you know, people are asking me about that, and I just try to stick to my message of what I've done.
Yeah.
You know, I've denied a lot of development. People don't know that because, social media doesn't paint it that way, but I've denied quite a bit of development since my very first day on the board. And, being born and raised here in this county, I have seen the growth and and it has affected the quality of life. So I really want to push for smart growth. If the project isn't compatible, if we don't have the infrastructure, I vote to deny it. Period. No questions asked. I want the developers to do more up front with the infrastructure. I want to hold them accountable. I have all of my, I do not support any sales tax, any tax increase. I do not support it. I have my own ideas and my own platform. And so, yeah, it does make it a challenge when, you're talking to people and the conversation changes from what you stand for to, mailers or, things that are going on, so try to get people back on track with it.
Yeah. It's small town politics. And this is a saying that goes way back. It's not the friends you make, it's the enemies you collect.
Yes.
And that's what small town politics are. So as an incumbent, you obviously have a higher chance of collecting those enemies. How do you combat that with the misinformation that's out there? Like you said, you've only been on the board a year and a half, and you're probably getting blamed for Silverleaf or World Golf Village.
I've been blamed for all of the development in St. Johns County.
The ones that are out there. How do you combat that to straighten that line out and say, okay, here's my timeline, and that's why I'm saying the three of you, that separation. The three of you have three different roads to being where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you separate that? From the enemies you collect, basically. So
right.
You're getting blamed for stuff you had nothing to do with.
Absolutely, and I think it just kind of comes with the job. People, they have short-term memories, and it's always in the now, and so it's like, well, people are in charge. I think since 2016, 80% of the development residential permits that have been approved were approved prior to 2008, right? So this development that people are seeing have been going on for years. But it makes it a challenge. Social media has made it a challenge. I just try to educate folks and tell them what I'm telling you. This is what I've done since my time on the board. This is what I believe in. And I explain to people, look, I'm a small business owner. I got 2 young kids at Gamble Rogers Middle School. I want what's best for this community. I'm not trying to do anything to the detriment because I'm a resident here. I'm raising a family here. I'm growing a business. So for me, the most effective thing has been calling people and knocking on doors and meeting with people and just explaining to them. And after I explain it to them, they get it. But there's a lot of people in this county. It's hard to reach everybody. So I'm just trying to tell my story, what I'm about, what I believe in, and why I care about this community so much and why I think I'm the best person for the job.
We talk about small town politics, but a big time politician just recently gave yourself, Henry Dean, and Christian Whitehurst an endorsement through Truth Social. President Trump, right? Got on there and said, I endorse the Trump Club. I think Christian and Dean and Alaimo, they're all great.
Right. Have you ever seen a former president endorse in a county commission?
Well,
I was going to ask you that.
It was very interesting. Well, I was going to ask you how that happened.
Where were you? And what was your reaction? Were you excited? What was it like?
I woke up Sunday morning and I got a text from a friend from the real Donald Trump, and it had the quote. And I was pretty excited. I mean, that's, like you said, put that in a frame, right?
Yeah.
Without the apostrophe. Oh!
I know.
We have it on screen. So.
Yeah.
So how do endorsements work? Yeah. How does that process work? Is that something where, because it's I've worked in and around politics,
right.
So I understand that, and I'm not trying to take away from the endorsement. I think it's amazing. Like I said, I would throw it on the wall. But is it a situation where Donald Trump is sitting around saying, well, it's a Sunday, I'm looking into this St. Johns County race, and I believe that Roy Alaimo, he's a great guy, wonderful man. Or is it something where the Trump Club reaches out to President Trump and says, hey, we've got these 3 guys. We think they're MAGA guys, and we think it would be powerful if you endorse. Where's does it happen either of those ways? Is it somewhere in between? How does an endorsement like that actually come to be?
Well, I think with, and this is from what I've been told, Diane Scherf, she eats, sleeps, and breathes Donald Trump. Like, she has started the Trump Club many years ago. She was actually the vice chairman for the Republican Executive Committee many years ago, and saw kind of what was going on in the local party, and decided that she was going to get out and start the Trump Club. And she has been with him from the very, very beginning. And I know she has been in contact for sure with Trump's team. And I think that she had been explaining to them what has gone on with the local party. And you guys know what's been going on with the local party. Actually, you guys were one of the first to report on Blake, the former chairman, Blake Patterson, being removed from the local party. So she's been kind of keeping him, and his team updated on what's been going on. And I found out, like you guys, I woke up Sunday morning and I see this endorsement, and he will not let you down. They will not let you down. I'm like, wow, so.
Awesome.
But
Spelled St. John's wrong. Spelled St. John's wrong.
Yeah, they had the apostrophe.
That's
in there.
frustrating.
Yeah, but you know what? I have been endorsed by President Trump, and I have been endorsed by Governor Ron DeSantis, and those are no doubt big endorsements. But for me, being born and raised here, the local support that I've received, the letters from Phil McDaniels in support, the letters from Jeff Pravat, the letter from Bo Bozar that I got, the letter from the firefighters, the letter from Faircloth with FOP. I mean, that local support to me means just as much.
How long does an endorsement last?
How long does it last?
Yeah.
As far as
like a term, like, I mean, do you need to get re-up on the endorsements every time you run, or is it just something that you have your whole life?
Depending upon.
I'm a neophyte. I have no idea.
No,
okay.
I got you. I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, as you run, you have to get endorsements.
Restamped,
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, because there's sometimes, people.
Things change.
Will pull their endorsements. So.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and we talked about this yesterday too. We actually said, we were like, are these? Would we consider Christian Whitehurst, Henry Dean, and Roy Alaimo MAGA Republicans? And I think we all said, I could see Roy wearing the MAGA hat. I could see Roy as a MAGA Republican. Do you consider yourself like a MAGA Republican? And do you think your other commissioners are as well?
I can't speak for the other commissioners, but I mean, I obviously, I'm with President Trump. I think that our country's at a crossroads here. I do have a Trump hat. I do have a Make America Great Again hat. And I am a big supporter of what he believes in. But for the other commissioners, I can't speak to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And our discussion is like I said, you're three different individuals. So that was where that discussion
and
went.
I think that's a good point. I mean, if you really look at it, I've been involved probably more in the political arena than they have. I mean, they've been in more of the policy side. Henry obviously with his experience on water management and Christian and so forth. But as far as involved in politics, I co-founded the Young Republicans here in 2008. I chaired the party. I worked for DeSantis when he was in Congress here, helped get him elected. So politically, I've been really, really active here. So,
yeah, I just don't see Henry Dean wearing a MAGA hat. I don't see it. But we'd have to ask him that, I guess.
I'm sure he's a supporter, but I don't see him as I think Henry probably is the most in line with my policies. I'm more of a, I would have been called a blue dog Democrat back in the day, but still conservative with the financial side, but on environmental parks and stuff like that. He's a little more, like I said, of the politicians, he's the one I line up with. Yeah. Everybody has to be thinking, if everybody's thinking the same thing, then only one person's thinking. Yeah. And so, I mean, I think that balance is what makes it work with you guys on the board right now. So,
we talked about straw polls a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Your opponent just barely edged you out, I think, in a recent straw poll. Clay Murphy took that one home. But when you're behind in polls like that, do you take these things? How seriously do you take that? And what do you do to close that gap on your end?
Yeah, I mean, the straw polls, those like the chamber events is, I think, what you're referring to.
That's what we were discussing,
kind of just, getting your friends and folks out there to those things. I don't look at. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big believer in polls in general. I don't trust them. Not straw polls, not the actual polls that they're doing. For me, the polling that I use is the people that I'm talking to when I'm out knocking on doors and making phone calls. And so, look, I just try to get my message out there. Obviously, you want to win everything, right? I mean, that's how life is. Anything that you're doing, you want to win. So yeah, I would have liked to have won the straw polls, but I don't think it's a very good. I don't think it's an accurate estimation of where we're at. And so I'm continuing to just work as hard as I can. Yeah. So.
Last question for you here today, unless you guys have anything else, but I would say you have the floor now. The floor is yours. Tell us some of the accomplishments that you're proud of that you've accomplished as a commissioner here in St. Johns County.
Yeah, and listen, thank you guys for having me on, and I appreciate the time. I'm very proud of my time on the commission. It's been short. I've only been on there a year and a half, but we've done some really great things. We've added 4 regional parks. We've added 4 fire stations. With the beach renourishment, I've been an advocate for Summerhaven River. We've denied development that wasn't compatible and that didn't have the infrastructure. We've got over $600 million in infrastructure projects going on right now in the county. And there's a lot more to do. So I'm proud of what I've accomplished on there. Someone asked me what my biggest accomplishment was on the county commission. And, when I first got on the board, there was some turbulence and, with the county administrator. And, I would say that the best thing that I've done was a vote to hire Joy Andrews as the county administrator. I don't think she is so smart. She works hard. She's dedicated. She puts her heart and soul into it. And so when I look back and see what I've been most proud of on my time on that board was a vote to put her on there because, we're very fortunate to have her.
Awesome. Well, Commissioner Alaimo, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you guys.
We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
It's always a great time. I enjoy your show. Thanks for what you guys do.
7 more days.
7 more days.
7. Are you guys doing a countdown? Or
we should.
You guys should have a countdown.
Yeah, we're not CNN. We're not CNN. We don't need the countdown.
Yeah.
If you know.
Again, I do want to say that we appreciate everybody who puts their time into public service. It is not an easy job. It is not something we would want to do. So we appreciate you and good luck out there.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. All right.
Great
Thank
job.
you.
Thanks, Roy.
Appreciate it. Take care.
You too. That was a good conversation, man.
Absolutely.
It's good to hear some of the behind the scenes of what goes on in these campaigns and get some of the reactions from a commissioner himself about some of the recent things that have been going on.
He sat as the REC chair.
Yeah.
So that the club that put out he had been that. So there's some serious turmoil within the REC.
There's a lot going on in our local Republican Party and Republican parties across the country. Yeah. I mean, there's still remnants of the Tea Party versus the establishment clashing. And I'm someone who has a lot of experience with both of those groups. Yeah. Working with them, talking to them, and all those sort of things. So, it is definitely a real thing that is happening across the country. And Republicans, if they want to keep winning, need to find a way to bridge the gap.
Yeah, they got
to work as a team.
They got to bring it together.
Yeah, man.